Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO and president of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion. Also, Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe at GSD that intellectual capacity is evenly spread, opportunities are not. Today in GSD, we have 180 companies representing 73 countries around the world. They're literally some of the best companies in areas like biotech, areas like AI, areas like quantum computing, because we believe Silicon Valley is a port to the rest of the world. And with that, today we're going to be talking about vaccinating the world's smallest food producers. And I want to welcome you to the show, GSD Presents Top Global Startups, where I spotlight founders and leaders building technologies that quietly but profoundly shape the future of humanity. Today's conversation is about food security, climate resilience, and a question that until recently seemed impossible. Can you vaccinate animals that don't have adaptive immune systems? Our guest today not only answered that question, she's changed an entire field. Join me is Annette Kleiser, CEO of Dalan Animal Health, a biotech company pioneering disease prevention for some of the world's most underserved but most critical food producers, including honeybees and shrimp. Under Annette's leadership, Dalan developed the world's first USDA-approved vaccine for an insect protecting honeybees against American Foulbrood disease, an achievement many believe was biologically impossible. Now Dalan has made another major breakthrough in agriculture, aquaculture, applying its proprietary vaccine platform to shrimp, an industry, I'm getting hungry thinking about it, industry critical to global protein supply and livelihoods worldwide. Today we'll explore how innate immunity works, why these breakthroughs matter far beyond agriculture, and what this means for the future of the global food systems and the global food supply. So I'd like to welcome Annette on board. Hi, Annette.
Hi, Gary. Thank you for having me.
You know, most people don't think about honeybees or food or shrimp as food producers. Why are these animals so critical to global food security?
Well, honey, a lot of our most nutritious food would not exist if it wasn't for large scale pollination by honeybees. So honeybees are they're managed bees, they're not wild bees, they're semi-domestic, held in big containers. And they are placed into orchards for targeted pollination. So currently, for example, millions of hives are carried into the almond groves in California, which produce 80% of the world's almonds. They would not exist if it wasn't for the pollination services of honeybees and the beekeepers that put the bees into the orchards. And it's a good question why we don't see it, why they fly under the radar, but they are really critical. They are, and particularly because our most nutritious foods depend on them, like almonds, but also blueberries and pumpkins and onions. So they're really, really critical for our survival and for large-scale food production. So that's
almonds is about 80 to 90%, right? So apples, blueberries, cherries, avocados, cucumbers, melons, pumpkins, coffee, some nuts, seeds, oils. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. And we would completely lose them. We cannot rely at the amount the world's population is growing and how we have to feed and need these nutritious foods. We can't rely on wild pollinators alone. So we need the honeybees. They're not going to go away. They're here to stay, and they're extremely important. But just like many livestock, they get diseases. And by viral diseases, bacterial diseases. And I think last year in the US, there were surveys 60 to 70% of commercial colonies died. They disappeared. And of course, that's a huge problem for the orchard owners, not just for the beekeepers, it's their livelihood, but also for orchard owners, but also growers, but also for consumers and the environment. And these losses are driven by mostly viral diseases, but also other diseases. Of course, climate plays a role, pesticides play a role, but these things are actually not the major driver. And as you said in your introduction, we thought that we can't vaccinate, we vaccinate everything else. We vaccinate our cows and chickens and ourselves and dogs and cats. And vaccines are extremely effective in preventing disease, and they're a key part of health management in livestock. And so we decided, well, wait a minute, only because people say it's not possible, maybe it is possible to vaccinate and develop vaccines. And so we formed the company a few years back and set out to develop a vaccine. And today the world has honeybee vaccine, and it's very effective.
That's, it's interesting. I know that there was a quote attributed to Einstein. Actually, he didn't really say it, right? But it's attributed to him that said, if the bees disappeared off the surface of the globe, then man would have only 4 years of life left. It's really powerful and dramatic, and I love it. But it's true, right? I mean, we wouldn't have. How long would we survive if we didn't have honeybees around?
Well, we would have to take a lot of vitamin pills and supplements to get us through. It wouldn't be that much fun. Let's put it that way.
What's at stake economically and ecologically if diseases in these populations go unchecked?
Well, honeybees contribute $150 billion to aquaculture globally. So these are large numbers. It's 5 billion almond industry. I mean, if you lose them, you have significant impact. These are hundreds of jobs, thousands of jobs that are associated with this industry, and that we just take for granted, and that would significantly impact across the world. These are global problems. These diseases that we are targeting are global diseases. They are pandemics. The honeybees are traded. They're shipped across the world. Queens are put into little cages and they're shipped from New Zealand to Canada and from Hawaii to Spain, and so with it, and we've seen this during the pandemic, if you're not vaccinated, the likelihood that you're going to carry and spread diseases is very high, and that's what happened with honeybees. And so you just have these global problems, and colonies are dying around the world. So this is not a local problem. This is not something that only affects a beekeeper in New York State or in Maine, but around the world.
Somebody said it was like magnetic influence because Earth's shifting, right? There's all kinds of different things that I've heard, but whatever it is, it's not good. And for decades, insects and shrimp were considered impossible to vaccinate. What made scientists believe this couldn't be done?
Because the adaptive, so all vaccines that we have target what's called the adaptive immune system. So it's a system that vertebrates, humans, dogs and cats and birds have developed, also fish have developed, that is highly specific and has a memory component by developing antibodies against a specific pathogen, a specific disease. So these vaccines, they work by you take a pathogen that causes a disease, you inactivate it or you attenuate it so it doesn't get you that sick, and you expose the person to that vaccine, and you develop this antibody response and a memory component. And that was believed to be the holy grail of vaccination and an immune system. There is a second immune system that is much, much older than the adaptive immune system, which is the innate immune system. And every organism on the planet has an innate immune system. We have an innate immune system, but it doesn't have antibodies. So if it doesn't have antibodies, it was believed that it can't be trained. It's a first line of response that is very short. So if you do see a disease, you can fight it a little bit until the antibodies kick in and really get rid of it. But it's not trainable. It doesn't have memory. So vaccines as a concept wouldn't work. That was just the belief that it only you can only activate it for a few hours, maybe a few days, and that would be it. And so it was completely ignored in humans, in dogs, in shrimp, in honeybees. And nobody looked at it, and we decided to look at it because there was basic research done in these animals that said if you expose a honeybee queen or a shrimp to a disease that they can't get sick from, their children, their offsprings, are less likely to get sick. And so people say, well, if that's true, if somehow there is this information passed on from one generation to the next in these animals that don't have antibodies, and it lasts for days and weeks. So what is going on here? So we took that research and said, well, let's see if we can activate it and train this immune system in a way that it will protect specifically against diseases. And well, what we showed it does. It's very powerful, and it is we've now showed it in 4 diseases in 2 different species. And obviously, like I said, 100% of organisms on this planet have an innate immune system. Why not take this into other species and make existing vaccines better, solve problems where the current vaccines don't address the pathogens and the diseases. So it's a completely new field that we are dealing in, and it's very exciting.
So can you explain innate immunity in simple terms and how it differs from the adaptive immune systems humans rely on?
Yeah, the innate immune system relies on pattern recognition. So it's not specific to a component of the pathogen, but it will recognize 50 or 70 different features of a pathogen. It's not specific. And once these pattern recognition receptors in the system get activated, then the whole machinery starts to get triggered with defense mechanisms that will try to eliminate this pathogen. That in a nutshell.
No, it's fantastic. And so, for decades, insects, you've vaccinated them. We didn't think it could be done. But once you proved this worked at honeybees, what gave you confidence that the platform could extend to shrimp?
This immune system is so similar. The innate immune system is essentially hasn't changed much over millions of years in different animals. And one of the animals that's very close in its immune system to honeybees is actually shrimp. So it's another invertebrate that from the biology is very similar. So we said, well, it's the next species. Let's just not make a huge leap to chickens. Let's go to something that is closer related and where there is a similar big need. Shrimp is a very, very large industry, mostly Southeast Asia and the shrimp production, but it's the number one seafood consumed, I believe, in the US. So it's a very highly high valued lean protein source that can be produced at large quantities, and very important to it's rich in all kinds of nutrients. So it's very important for feeding large populations and around the world. But the problem is that these animals, just like honeybees, they're dying from viral diseases. I think it's $4 billion in losses every year in harvests, most of them attributed to a viral disease. I mean, these are huge numbers of wasted potential, and that, of course, then you have an impact again on climate, on sustainability consideration. And in these industries, if you don't have vaccines, you still rely heavily on antibiotics, which is a big problem, particularly with shrimp, because it ends up in the food chain and we eat it. So antibiotic resistance is a big problem. So there's a huge need. So we decided to go into this field where we knew the science should work, but also where there was a big global problem to solve. And it worked. So we can show that vaccine activating the innate immune system in the parent can protect hundreds of thousands of shrimp. So every female shrimp that mates produces 500,000 shrimp. So these are very large numbers that go into the pond. And it's obviously the pond that you, like the colony hive that you want to protect. So we can show that the next generation can be protected with this technology where we activate and train the innate immune system in the parent.
Well, how do you maybe it's just me, but you don't have like a needle that goes into these shrimp. How in the world do you vaccinate them?
Well, in shrimp you could. In bees it's a little bit more difficult to take the needle, but we feed it. So it's I don't know, when I was a child, the nurse came with the polio vaccine on a little sugar.
Yeah,
so this is the same thing. We put it into the feed, or for shrimp we code the feed, the broodstock feed that is given to the parent. And here, for the queen bee, we feed it to the queen, and it's very effective, very simple, and it works.
That's amazing. And so how often do shrimp reproduce? Like what's the lifespan of a shrimp other than they get harvested? How long do they live? A year? 6 months?
Yeah, the broodstock, so the parents, they're about a year old. And so they're big. They're the females, fit into your hand, and they are kept in special containers in hatcheries, and they mate up to between 7 and 15 times. It depends on the hatchery, and so these are typically specialized genetics that bring certain color or certain also disease protection and growth rate and all kinds of things that people can do. And so these shrimp in the hatcheries, once they mate, each time they're about 20,000 larvae, the 20,000 eggs that are laid, and then about up to 300,000, 500,000 of these larvae go into a pond to grow out. What we eat when we have the jumbo shrimp in the shrimp cocktail, they are probably 3.5 months old. And then
shrimp, like when you get medium shrimp or jumbo shrimp or colossal, are they just older shrimp?
Yeah, they're just different. The popcorn shrimp, they're probably 2 months old, and the medium shrimp, they're maybe 2.5, 3 months old, and it only depends when you harvest.
I mean, the colossal shrimp, it seems like you get a lot more money. How old are those?
Well, the thing is that you do get a lot of money, but a lot of times because of the diseases, the farmers are forced to harvest early.
I see.
Because once a pond gets hit by a disease, once they see anything happening, some of those diseases can wipe out and kill an entire pond, 500,000 shrimp, within 2 days.
Are these freshwater shrimp or are they saltwater shrimp?
They're freshwater shrimp.
Interesting. Wow. So, so how did these, if you look at it from a sustainability perspective, how do these vaccine changes the sustainability equation, especially around antibiotic use and environmental impact?
Right. So antibiotic use and other chemical use is extremely a big problem in shrimp farming. So we need to reduce this, and more countries are rejecting shrimp where antibiotic residues are found to import. I mean, every shrimp that we eat in the US or in Europe comes from Southeast Asia or from South America. This is where the ponds are. So we need to do something. We need to offer solutions. But in addition to that, once diseases hit a shrimp farm, often farmers have to abandon the farm. They can't get the disease out. So they will move, will find new land, will take down mangroves and build new shrimp farms. And that, of course, has an enormous impact on CO2 emissions. These kind of things is what we have to address. So the sustainability aspect is absolutely critical in these, because shrimp could be one of the lowest impact food if we have these vaccines that are organic. They're indicated for organic aquaculture. There are no harmful chemicals, and just we need these really effective solutions for the farmers and for ourselves.
Interesting. So are you going to be able to scale this beyond just shrimp and bees? Are there any type of other species or ecosystems where this will go?
Absolutely. So we are looking at other species. You have to remember this is a very effective way of vaccinating. I mean, if you have 500,000 shrimp and you only have to vaccinate the parent, that's, you don't have to go into the pond. That is extremely important in order to make this commercially viable and useful, and not, pay, just be unattainable to farmers. And there are other animals. I mean, right now you look at chickens. Chickens, you have to vaccinate every single chick that, comes out of an egg, and it takes a lot of time going with a syringe from 1 to 1. If you can activate the innate immune system prenatally in the hen and provide protection in the hatchling, that's extremely effective. But then you have salmon, tilapia, all of those industries have a need for this kind of technology.
Do you see application for this platform? You see it beyond bees and shrimp, as we said. How fast is that going to happen? Well, how fast are you going to be able to scale, and how far does it go?
I don't think there is a limit to this. This can go into humans. This can go, activating the innate immune system and helping with all kinds. This can go with cancer vaccines, with making flu vaccines more. We're not going to replace the existing vaccines, but we can train the innate immune system to help the adaptive immune system to work together, to work more effectively together. This can go into aquaculture. Plants have these systems that we can activate. So this is, from my perspective, really opening up a new space that we have shown, Dalan has shown, is possible. You can develop products. And that's one of the biggest hurdles that you have to take. It's not an academic idea anymore. It's a reality, and we can now build on this and change how we deliver medicine, how we deliver treatments. So for me, it's super exciting. When I started it, I had a vision of developing the bee vaccine and saving these animals. But the power of this system is remarkable.
You know, for founders working at the edge of science and commercialization, what advice would you give them, Annette, regarding perseverance and conviction?
Just do it and trust yourself. Trust your gut. If you know there's something that you can do, you just have to do it.
Where can people learn more about Dalan Animal Health and follow your work? What's the best way for them to see what you have? Is a website or LinkedIn? What's the best way?
All of that. Dalan.com is obviously our company website, but then also Facebook, LinkedIn. Particularly LinkedIn, we use a lot to share what we do, our updates, and then anybody can contact. We are a small team. Anybody can contact me directly or reach out to us with questions about what we do. We welcome it, and it's great to have this also your show to share what we do.
No, it's fantastic. So if you want to stay on after the show for a few minutes, I'm happy to talk to you if you have time. And that has been an extraordinary conversation. It's rare to see science, entrepreneurship, and planetary impact align this clearly. I appreciate you joining GSD Presents Top Global Startups. And to all of you out there, thanks for tuning in one more time. And thanks to all of you. We're nearing 1,600 podcasts that we've done. Almost 900 articles, and my book just came out, How Stem Cell Changed Me. Check it out. It's on Amazon, soon to be on Barnes & Noble. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy, and I will be back to you again soon with another exciting edition of GSD Presents Top Global Startup. Thank you, everybody, and thanks, Annette.
Thank you.